This may be the perfect CarPlay screen that I've been waiting for. Oh, I think it's gonna play nice. I've already made a mistake in true Cody fashion. Over the next couple days, we're going to be doing 2 different DIY projects inside our 2022 Model Y. We're going to be adding the newest version of CarPlay screen as well as a soft close front. So if you're new to the channel, thanks for coming down and checking us out. Make sure you subscribe and you hit that bell so you know when these videos are done and you don't miss them. So here's the deal. It's been a long time since I've torn into a Tesla, and it's the first time I've ever had to install anything with the AMD processor. The Intel was a lot more simple. This one's got the AMD, so it's going to be interesting. So let me show you what we're looking at here today. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of these new CarPlay screens, and the reality is, it seems like a new one of these comes out like every month. You just get it installed and like a new version comes up. And so for that reason, I've had the same one inside my Model Y for the past year. And it works. They're actually really great to have in your car. But with all the updates, I haven't been accepting any new install requests because the new ones just weren't that exciting to me worth going through this whole process. But this new one by Hansshow is interesting because it solves a few problems that the old ones really had, and that was airflow issues. The way that a lot of these screens install, and this is all the way across the board, no matter which supplier you're getting these from, they almost all just block your vent. And you can see here as I'm holding up my daughter's pom-pom fronds that there's hardly any air getting past the screen. Take a look at this design here. Now we have actual vents in the front of it. See how it does that there? So supposedly this is going to let a lot more air come through. And the way this is supposed to work is this gonna slide right into your air vent. So it should capture that air and shoot it out the front at you, and we should get a lot more airflow, which is really going to help a lot in those really hot days we've been having in the summer, as well as getting you that heat at a good time. Because it's one thing for your car to like warm up around you, but it's another to actually have the air blowing on you, and I've missed that. So this should solve that problem. You also get the ability to get hardwired in directly for CarPlay. So if you don't even want to deal with Bluetooth, you don't have to, which is like, that's awesome. I wish my other screens had that. So there's a lot of reasons why I want to install this. Now, before I show you what else comes with this screen, I will tell you this does not install into the 2019 Model 3. Although on the website it says it does, it doesn't, and I've tried so many times, and I've talked to Hansshow, and it just doesn't freaking go in. And if you are out there and you have the screen and you've got it to go in, you're Superman or woman. Okay, so let's talk about the wiring harness. So what we got here is we got one wiring harness with a whole bunch of danglers on it. So here's the thing, these are all relays. They're designed so you can basically just pull out the old one, plug this in, and then plug the car OEM one back into this, and it takes no kind of splicing or anything. This is supposed to be a very easy DIY process, and because this is plug and play, there's no splicing or anything, you don't have to worry about something like this voiding your warranty. And if you were to go ever into a Tesla service center and they were to deny you, all you would have to do is simply unplug it, plug back in the OEM one, and then they have to do service on your car. Okay, but seriously, what we got here is we've got 2 sets of plugs. You got the plugs for the Intel processor and the AMD processor, and it just says on the sticker which ones apply to each. So they really, should be quite simple to get this done. Now, when you're ordering this, you can choose to buy it with the optional front-facing blind spot camera, and the screen does come with 3 wires to accept that, but I'm not going to install that camera because I just don't really want to, and it's a much more invasive install. And if you've seen my recent leaked video, it has blind spot indicators that are coming to the new update, so I just don't really feel like I need to do that. But if you want to install that in your car, there's other videos on YouTube that show you how to do that. And one more housekeeping item before we really get into the install. Hansshow is compensating me to make this video, so this really isn't a review. This is us partnering up to show you guys what this screen's all about and to take a look at it. In future videos, after I've used it for a while, we'll talk about my real true feelings on it. All right. Let's install it. Okay, step number 1 is to go into our safety and power off the car. Boink. Make sure you don't hit the brake or it's gonna turn it right back on. Next, I'm gonna remove this panel right here, followed by this panel down here to expose all of what we need under here. And Hansshow does provide this little plastic pry tool, so you don't actually need to go get any of your own tools to do this whole project. Also, because you're gonna be taking this off of each side of the car, kind of keep it in separate places so you know which side it goes back on. Save you a little bit of headache in the future. Now this next piece just has one little pin right there. We're gonna rip that out, and then the rest of this we just scream and yell a whole bunch and we can get it to come out. They're just clips, don't worry, you're not gonna hurt anything. Next, we're gonna dive under here and we're gonna remove about 5 clips and pull off this panel down here. Then we'll disconnect the light from the panel as well as that speaker. And you can see where those clips are, and they'll be removed with that little pry tool just the same. So the way you get these clips out is you can see there's actually this inner piece and this outer piece. You're just basically popping out that inside piece right there. When that comes out, then this becomes a lot squishier and shrinks so it can actually come out. Make sure you keep those together and put them somewhere safe because you're definitely gonna need those again and you don't wanna lose them. Disconnect the light and the speaker. Okay, next we're gonna remove this panel right here, but just this one. We don't need to remove this on the driver's side. And then we're gonna remove this whole dash piece. We're gonna take that off next. Oh, and I almost forgot. We also have to take off these panels right here as well by just pulling and snapping them off. I think they got three snaps in here. Whew, man, sometimes you really gotta pull on these things. Now for the other side. Please don't be as hard. Don't be a difficult. Oh, that's bad. That's a good boy. All right, one more panel piece. We're getting close. This one can be real easy if it's like my Model 3, but I have seen this be a bugger. So well, hopefully this guy is easy. But essentially, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna basically take it, grab it here, and rip. Oh, I think it's gonna play nice. Yeah. Nice, that was so simple. Thank you. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Okay, this is good. So again, just a few clips. There's nothing fancy here. And there you go, there's your dash. And I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. We're gonna do the wiring harness next. Okay, I've already made a mistake in true Cody fashion. And like always, I never edit my mistakes out of these videos because I am not an expert. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not an electrician. I'm just a guy who sent stuff. So here's the deal. If you have an AMD chip in your car, this wiring harness is so much easier to install than the Intel chip. The Intel, you have to remove this panel. You got to get up there with your hand and kind of pull out the old plug connected to the computer and then reconnect it. You can check my other videos. I'll link them down below when I do stuff like that. But this one, you don't have to do that. Look at this. I decided to do something weird and actually read the instructions, and it said there's a plug in here where you can connect the AMD harness and then you can just connect the power right here. So that's the difference, is that the Intel plug actually gets power to the wiring harness through the main plug up there, but this is actually different for the AMD plug. So let me just show you this. We're gonna pop out this little clip right here, gonna allow us to pull this back. And so this is what we got going on. So we got our blue plug here, which is the AMD plug, so we're gonna have that. And then we have this power source down here. So all we gotta do here with an AMD chip is take this blue plug, put it inside the other blue plug. Pretty simple, right? And then they give you this other one here. So if I wanted to reconnect my TestLogic one that I've had in there, I could then go and plug this accessory in here as well so that I could have two accessories plugged in at the same location, which is so nice of Hansshow to do that for us. That's actually really cool. Can't believe I forgot about this. And then in here, we're just gonna put this relay in for the power. So we're just gonna pull this out, plug that in, and then complete the circuit with the male into the female over here. Holy cow, did you guys just hear that? I just about had a heart attack. At the exact second I plugged in the power for this wiring harness, my furnace fired up, but before it actually fired up, the igniters went off, which sounds like sparks and electricity current going zzz. You guys, I don't know if you guys heard that. I thought that was the car. I thought something was like blowing up every time I do an install, every time. Okay, so heart attacks aside, now what you have here is just this Intel piece, which we're not gonna use. So we're basically just gonna take all this and tuck it on in there. We're gonna run the wire up like this, and it's gonna go across our dash over to where the screen's gonna be. But because I don't know how much wire I'm gonna have left over, I'm not gonna put this all away until I have the screen installed up there. All right, so I got the wire just kind of lying up here ready to go. And so you can see here that on the dash, there's like this point here that's cut out so that when it goes over the steering wheel, it kind of fits there. So this needs to be basically centered with that. And there's probably multiple ways to do this that are a lot more scientific than this. But what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to figure out where I want this, where it looks right, which is about right there. No, over a little bit more. See how scientific I am? There's probably a proper way to do this. And then I'm just gonna take these and just shove them down in here, straight in between these spots where they can go. And you can see they're basically just going inside these ventilation holes here. We're just gonna shove these on through in no certain order, all side by side. Try not to scratch up your dash too much. And by the way, the screen does have a little bit of a rubber padding on this, so when it goes on here, it shouldn't scratch it up too bad. But I will say, like, I pulled them out of my other car a few different times, and after a year or so, it does have some wear marks on the dash, but you can always get a sticker to cover this if you care about that too much. Now I'm gonna just shove this through, make sure it's where I want it. Now to fasten this on here, this is where you're gonna actually need that little Phillips screwdriver, really small screws, make sure it's a small head on it. You're gonna get this bracket, and then you're gonna have 8 little screws. And so without losing your spot of where you got the screen mounted, bring your dash and put it on your lap. Again, there's no real rules to this. If you wanna, put it on top of the car, you wanna put it on the ground, You can do that. So from there, put the wires through this little bracket with the little tabs facing down. You'll see how it goes. You really can't screw this up. I'm telling you guys, this is actually quite simple. Next, take the screws and start screwing them in. But here's the thing, only do like quarter way, like get them fastened, but don't tighten them, because if you do, you're not gonna be able to get all 4 of them in, or at least I couldn't. They weren't exactly lined up perfectly, so I had to make sure they were all loose, and then they all went in fine. So it's all mounted now. So what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna actually plug in the wires and make sure it all actually works, power back on the car and all that, before I actually go and fasten this whole thing. So let's plug the black to the black here. All right, okay, so there's our screen. I'm gonna hit the brake. There we go, I hear the car turning it back on. Oh, there's the screen. Woohoo! Look at that. Whoa, almost lost my camera. All right, there we go. We're all set, showing the door open and everything, so we're good to go. We're ready to put this whole thing back together. And to put this all back together, we're basically gonna just do everything we did before in reverse. The only thing different being that we have to kind of get this, you know, tucked underneath the vent, which that's where it goes wrong in the 2019 Model 3 that I had, is I couldn't get it inside the vent. And then also we have to make sure the cord is not being where one of the clips are or anything. We just got to lay that flat. So just going to take this up here, lay that flat. That didn't sound good. Anyway, it went in, which was an improvement over last time I tried to install this. Then we just sort of, something definitely broke. I heard something kind of fall and tinkle down. I think it was part of one of the clips, but it all seems sturdy, so we're just gonna ignore that. All right, now we're just gonna go and put all the panels back on, and it's gonna look like this. All right, so I just got it plugged in, and a couple things we noticed right off the bat. Do a little walk through what the screen is like here. So this is if you're in park, and the car is changed to black, and I'll show you guys how to do that all in a second. But if you were to just open the door, you'll see the animation shows there, so it's nice that it matches what your big screen is doing, and they're right in sync as well, which is really nice. And so in park, you got the time. If you press on the brake, you can see the little braking symbol pops up on there. You got your seatbelt indicators, you got your odometer, the outside temperature, your battery percentage, as well as your estimated mileage, and you got some other battery icons down there as well. Now, here's the thing, you can't really do anything until you put it into drive. So once you do put it into drive, putting your foot on the brake and knocking it into drive, then the car actually changes into the UI. But let's take a look at CarPlay, because that's kind of the hero of this one as well. We really want to see how well this is going to work. And the biggest issue is going to be with phone calls and with music. How does it work with the Tesla? That's what I want to know right now, because if this isn't good, this whole thing is crap. So let's see if this actually works here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll the right wheel here until I get to CarPlay. And then what I found out is if you actually just push to the right, it selects it. So now we're loaded onto CarPlay. So we got a Shawn Mendes song up there, and watch what happens here. See, in the settings, you can tell if you want it to play through the speaker here or through the Bluetooth device that it is connected to. So here's what's happening. It actually is connected to the phone, but the deal is now anytime that I tell the phone to play a song, it's going to play it through its second connection, which is actually the car. That's what it's supposed to do here. So let's turn it on and see what happens here. Okay, before I get demonetized, I have to stop saying that out loud, but here's what you can see is on the screen right here, we have Senorita playing. It's playing up there, but it's doing it through the music on my phone, okay? It's not through anything else. So I can play it here, control it here, and it's still playing through the speakers of the car. So that is excellent, excellent. That's flawless. I didn't really have to do anything other than my normal thing down here where I just tap Bluetooth and connected myself to the car. I also have the ability to skip songs. So if we go over here and we skip a song, we'll go to cool. See, it changes there as well. So they're in total sync right now. These are working perfectly with audio. Next up, let's give my wife a call. She doesn't know I'm calling, so she could be a little surprised here. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I press it and there it is. It's calling on both instantly, and it's calling through the speakers of the car. Yes.
Hello.
Hey babe, I just wanted to test out the call. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not 100% sure. I think that actually might have played through this. Here's the thing though. That was really, really clear audio, and it was loud. It was so good that it might have been coming from the Tesla, but it also might have been from the speaker back here. So I can't say for sure. I was trying to listen to it, and I've done it a few times, but it might have actually been from the screen. Now, there's a lot of things about this touchscreen that is a lot different than the previous one that I had. Right off the bat, I noticed that when I turn the wheel like this, you can see that this animation here of the road lines also changes to match the direction that I'm turning the wheel, which that's kind of fun. So next to it, you have the speed limit, and then over here you have all your different CarPlay options, and you can scroll them and look through them. Looks like you got settings here on the far left, theme, Android Auto, CarPlay, and we're gonna get CarPlay set up here in just a second. And then of course, right in the middle, you have your speedometer, which is really great. But before we do that, let's jump into the settings and I'll show you how simple these settings work. Switch over here. So settings is just so neat and not trying to dig to find everything. You can switch your language by just tapping on it. From Fahrenheit to Celsius, just by tapping on it. Real nice and easy. Same thing with 24-hour time to 12-hour. US speed limit. You can change the color of your car right here by just tapping on it. Tire pressure, PSI, or you have bar. Of course, that's gonna be on PSI. You can change day, night, your brightness. I have it set to follow the car. I do not have the front camera, so that is not turned on. I might add that later. Then you have your audio output and then phone link, which we'll take a look at those later. So in CarPlay, the automation still works the same on the right side here. If I turn the steering wheel, it's gonna give the little road lines a curve just like it did in the previous screen, which is really fun. So let's take this for a drive and see how it works with Waze up there and just see how the flow of this all comes together. All right, so the navigation is working flawlessly. It's keeping up with me. It's not glitching. It's smooth. It's accurate. So we're getting good connection. The GPS is working good with the phone. And it's just nice to have Waze up here again. So if I don't want to have Waze up anymore and I want to just have my regular dash up, all you gotta do is tap on this right here and then go to car, this little button right there. And then now we have the car display up. So we can take off again, and now we've got our speedometer and we've got our car links right there on the left that we can take a look at. And now we have our PSI all set on there as well. And of course, if you have an Android, there's Android Audio on there. I don't know nothing about that. We also have 3 different themes. And so this one is one that we kind of start on here, but if you scroll it again, you go into this, I think it's like a racing or sport mode, where you have like miles per hour on this side and you got horsepower over there. And then in the middle, you've got your car, which is, I mean, this is a pretty fun one. And remember, this isn't a review, so I haven't owned it long enough to form an opinion on it. And I'll maybe go through that in another video if you guys want, but what questions do you guys have on this specific screen? What can I answer for you? You know, what do you want to know? Put them down below in the comments and I'll be sure and, get to them within the next, day or two. But a few things that are a really big deal. One, it absolutely solves the problem with ventilation. So you definitely get the airflow, so that's great. It is flawless on the Bluetooth for music and phone calls. That is great. I've now done it 2 or 3 times, spent maybe 10, 15 minutes dinking with that, trying to make it screw up, and I haven't been able to. So that's huge. The animations work. You can change the colors. The UI is very intuitive and very simple. The CarPlay works great. It connects right away. So from everything I've seen on it, it does what it says it's supposed to do. But I'm sure there's a lot that I'll run into, different problems, different concerns I have in the next weeks to come. So I'll keep you guys updated. And of course, if you guys want one of these, I will link it down below in the comments with my discount code. Now make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification, because the next install coming up, we're going to be ripping apart the front of this car and installing a soft close latch. See you guys on the next video.